News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Brought to you by Mr. Beef's Powdered Steak Batter. Fire up the grill, honey. Dinner is about to get interesting. Just mix powder with water, and in 3 hours, you will have something approximating a raw sirloin steak growing in your refrigerator. 50% science experiment, 50% protein, 100% fun. Serve your family something they'll never forget. Try Mr. Beef's Powdered Steak Batter tonight.
Okay. Allan, if you're serving that at your next dinner party, I'm out, man.
Well, the trick is you got to have those little shape forms.
Okay.
Just right. It's kind of like animal crackers.
Yeah, the last one you did to me, I don't want to say what it was shaped like. But anyway, welcome to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning.
And I'm Allan Gilbert with GeekySideTV.com.
Oh, my gosh. And Allan, Kelly Cruz, once again, thank you. You've outdone yourself. Thanks for that interesting sponsor. We sure appreciate that.
Yeah, that sponsor's my fault.
Hey, speaking of interesting sponsors, Allan, next week we're announcing a new team member to Tool Talk Radio. Can't say anything. They're signed on. We just have to wait till next week to make the big announcement. But anyway, we do have a special guest coming in later today.
Oh, good.
Katie Clark with K. Clark Homes. She's a home builder, which is pretty cool. And she's the chairwoman of the Professional Women in Building. A lot of there's kind of an emphasis these days to get everybody to think about getting involved with the trades. It's not just men. I know it's dominated by males, but there's no reason women shouldn't get involved.
As you already well know, a sizable chunk of my income comes from taking people shopping.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and let me explain how that works. Because my normal client is a 30-something or 40-something woman.
Yeah.
Who is just bought a home or about to buy a home or, in that process. And the big box store is a little intimidating. So you walk in with somebody that knows what's going on. You get an education. You buy the appropriate tool or supplies for the job at hand. You don't waste money.
Yeah.
So it is a field that I guarantee you is growing and changing rapidly.
Yeah, she's going to talk to us about that. So we want to get more women involved with the industrial arts. And speaking of the industrial arts, Allan, we're gonna celebrate that. The industrial arts are art, and we're going to unpack that. There's a lot of creativity involved. It's not just banging in nails.
I've made a few pieces of modern art in my time.
We're going to talk about and how it translates over to possibly other fields, and then also some of the benefits of working with your hands. We've got the must-have item of the week. And, of course, you can always call or text us with your comments or questions at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. So it's all coming at you today on Tool Talk Radio. But before we get to any of that...
And now, Tool Talk Radio's weekly salute.
Hey, that's pretty good. If you were a member of the monarchy living in a castle in the grasslands of Europe, one of the common irritations you had to contend with were assassins sneaking through the tall grass surrounding your castle and climbing in through your window. One day, someone had the idea to keep the grass cut short to better spot their approaching enemies, and thus the lawn was born. That's history, right, Allan? That's accurate.
More or less, that's close enough.
Of course, keeping a lawn necessitated a means of keeping the grass cut short. Some landowners achieved this by allowing their livestock to graze in the yard, and hence, instead of assassins coming through the window, they now had the fragrance of horse, cow, and goat manure wafting in. Some landowners kept their grass cut short using the same means Allan Gilbert still uses today, lighting his lawn on fire. Some use shears, some use sickles, but no matter what the method, keeping your grass cut was a lot of work. That is, until the invention of the tool we honor today. My friends, we give you the lawnmower. Oh, yeah, Allan. I feel like this deserves its own, just the lawn itself, the lawn and the lawnmower deserve a salute because it wasn't always the case, right? We didn't always just walk out of our living quarters and step into a lawn, right? I mean, think of the work that would have been involved. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, we can kind of go back and go, those Black Plague days where there wasn't any lawn and people were stacked like, habit trails on top of each other.
Right.
Suburbia brought the lawn back.
Yeah.
So it's post World War II, and now people are moving out of the very crowded cities and trying to spread out a little bit. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, lawn care was back in the forefront.
Yeah. Well, you know what else is very interesting? Sports had a say in dictating the lawn. It wasn't necessarily a lawn. It was like basically they cut the grass short to create a playing area. Like, I didn't realize there was some bowling game that goes back to like the 12th century. It was kind of similar to bowling. It was done on a lawn. It was I don't know. Tennis is older than probably a lot of people think.
Yes, it's several hundred years old and was played on grass or clay.
Yeah, absolutely. So and of course baseball, which I don't want to talk about right now because I'm really mad at the Chicago Cubs. But anyway, but Allan, the lawn does have sort of an interesting history. So we want to unpack that, and we're gonna salute the lawnmower within. When we come back. And,
sure. We got a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, because this is too rich of a segment, and we don't want to just, bury that. So we're going to unpack the lawn and the lawnmower when we come back. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break and then talk about the lawn.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I wonder if they're fraternal or identical tools.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth with Geeky Side TV. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. Texting, yeah. We like text, actually.
Absolutely.
You can also go to our Facebook page, and actually, if you do, Allan, I've already posted the must-have item of the week. So for those people that like spoilers and like to find out things in advance, you'll already see what the must-have item of the week is. So go over there at Tool Talk Radio and like the page, and send us your messages too. Send us your triumphs, your home improvement tragedies.
Guys, we like pictures.
Absolutely.
Show us, and as I love to tell everybody, we learn more from what didn't go right than what did.
Absolutely. So we're gonna talk about the lawn, but I was a little remiss at the top of the show. I forgot to wish Harry Potter a very happy 41st birthday. He's had a tough life. He's had wizards trying to kill him. He's been on the run. He's got a permanent scar on his forehead. Poor kid from the time he was born.
Well, now he's middle aged. He's got a mortgage, and
he's got a mortgage.
He's got to cut the yard.
He's got a pot belly. No, but anyway, born in 1980, Allan.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, happy 41st birthday, Mr. Harry Potter. So. Allan, speaking of, no, this isn't, he's not quite as old as the lawn, but we were talking about the lawn, and what's interesting is there's just a rich history, and it's something people may not just think about. It's like, okay, we just take our lawn for granted, but having a lawn would have been a huge deal before the lawnmower was invented. I'm looking at some of the history here. It said back during the let them eat cake era in the 1700s,
hello, French Revolution.
Yeah, they had really fancy lawns, but think of the work that was involved with that. No wonder the peasants hated them.
Here's the interesting thing. I mean, anything prior to World War II is non-mechanized and done by hand.
Pretty much, or drawn by a horse.
Yeah. Right. I mean, just put things in perspective. So when you look at, I'm going to pick on Mel Brooks's History of the World.
That's a good reference for
but they showed some of the spectacular gardens.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know it was a funny movie and a lot of goofy stuff was going on, but if you looked at the settings and you looked at some of these huge verandas and massive porches and just immense gardens with the bushes and the shrubberies and the mazes and all that stuff, that was all done by somebody by hand.
Yeah, probably scissors or a little,
well, they
or a knife.
They had basically lawn shears.
Yeah. So here's where things got rolling, Alan. So in 1830, think of how long ago that was. There was an Englishman named Edwin Bear Budding. What a great name, Edwin Bear Budding. So he made the first mechanized lawnmower, where basically it's kind of a push deal. It had blades and a cylinder, but the thing was heavy, so you had to have a horse pull it.
Yes.
So right away you're seeing issues there. Who wants to be behind a horse the whole time?
Keep in mind, he was a commercial development.
Okay.
All right, it wasn't. You got to remember, Joe, did not have a lawn.
Right.
Now, Ditch, overseer of all things, he had a lawn. Okay. So his lawn was 2 or 3 acres in size. So the lawnmower he developed was designed to be horse pulled.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't
cut an acre at a time.
Yeah, it wasn't designed for your little 1/10 of an acre.
He was not designed
house,
for you, correct?
Yeah. So I guess 40 years later, a developer, Elwood McGuire from Richmond, Indiana, got into the act, and he made one that was a push mower. It was still these things still weighed a ton. So you skip forward a little bit, and then you got to go to 1902, and let's see. Ransoms of Ipswich. I don't know what company that is. Maybe it's another motor company or something. But they produced the first commercially pushable lawnmower powered by an internal combustion engine. So now we're starting to get into the modern era. Briggs and Stratton in the 1950s, though, pretty much changed the.
Here we go.
Yeah, they're the ones that changed the game in 1953, and they made it basically all the people coming home from World War II, and that's when we had the big boom of all these houses being built in suburbia, and that's what basically brought the lawn to the masses, if you think about it. So really, the lawn is not as old as people might think,
For the average person.
Right.
For the average person, the lawn is, it's a within your grandparents' lifetime invention.
Yeah.
Now, the deluxe lawn, or I'm going to say the English garden idea, is quite old. So, a lot of places had elaborate botanical gardens. Well, but not the average person.
The lawn for the average person is when, we're
talking World War II and later.
Well, I want to back up too, Alan, because there was an inventor I have not mentioned yet, and this is the reason he's interesting. He's interesting on a few levels, but let me just tell you who he is and tell you why I think he's even more interesting today. His name was John Albert Burr. And he was actually born into slavery, gained his freedom, and became a great inventor. And he invented the rotary blade mower, which we still use today. Which, in fact, a lot of the hippies and all of us people that want to go green are using them. Actually, they work really good.
They do.
There's no gas. They're very quiet. And his thing was sort of revolutionary because all these other ones, Alan, all these other mowers, they either threw the grass into a basket, or they got kind of cluttered up or whatever. But his revolution was that it was all open. So it kind of threw the grass up, it got caught in the blades again, clipped it up, and it sort of trimmed, kind of mulched it as it went.
Exactly. It was basically the very first mulching mower.
Yeah. And luckily for the good news for John Albert Burr is he was actually one of these inventors that actually profited from his inventions. He didn't get scammed out of all his money, so he did really well. He did a lot of other inventions. I would look him up. John Albert Burr. He was a great inventor. He would travel and lecture, and he lived a pretty prosperous life. After, like I said, it's interesting to be. He was born into slavery, achieved success, and he died in 1926 at the age of 78. But it's interesting that his lawnmower is sort of making the comeback,
and it's kind of one of those, and it's still available today.
Yeah.
So
and it works. I mean, it's one of these ideas. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, we're talking 122 years ago. So.
Well, now I'm going to tie your green motion back into the modern lawn, which is evolving again. And is taking a lot of hints from the old English gardens.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, regardless of the size of their yard, are putting in some pretty spectacular features.
Talk to me.
There are a lot of water features these days. There are a lot of fire pit features available now. I was at the big box store yesterday, as a matter of fact, walking around, and the fall assortment of goodies for your yard is already laid out and ready to go. And Halloween is now a huge yard event.
Well, with all the light, and they got so many digital options, and they've got, you don't have to like clutter your yard with a bunch of things.
The yard is not just a grass factory anymore. And to be perfectly honest, I've gotten at least 3 gallons of blackberries out of my backyard.
Well, your yard is like its own ecosystem.
Yeah, well, it is.
Unto itself.
It is.
So, but it's interesting when there's things that we just like I said. I feel like I know myself. I just take it for granted. But when you think about, I guess I wonder what life was like before people had yards. You just had a bunch of.
Well, you lived in your little section of housing, and you walked outside to the cobblestones, and you went to your job.
Or you walked out like I'm thinking of Little House on the Prairie. Didn't they kind of There could be snakes. There could be.
Well, that's where you got into a creature called the Weed Sling.
Okay,
which is also a farming implement that is still around today, and it is nothing more than a handle with a curved piece of metal across the top of at the bottom towards the grass.
Yeah,
and a scythe blade mounted between them. And you would walk out there and swing this back and forth and knock the tops off of the weeds and keep the yard down to a normal level.
Oh,
but you're talking about a nice aerobic workout.
Yeah,
good upper body strength.
Good for your core.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Actually, I think we've used those before. And honestly, there's parts of the, I have a huge yard. There's parts way in the back I probably could use that.
And it's still available today, and believe it or not, it is at your big box store.
Absolutely. So once again, hats off to the lawnmower and a celebration of the lawn. If you're really proud of your yard, if you've got some cool features, send those over to our Facebook page. Send us to at Tool Talk Radio and show off your lawn creation. So, hey, Allan, we're going to move along a little differently today because when our guest gets here, we've got some pretty interesting segments. And so we're going to jump into our must-have item of the week. So once again, like I said, if you go to our Facebook page, you've already seen this. But Allan, tell people what I'm holding up here.
You are holding up the infamous coping saw.
Oh yeah. This I want to say I paid like $7 for this, probably 15 years ago.
For everybody that just went, all right, what the heck is that? And you're not looking at the picture.
Yeah,
here's what I want you to
microphone.
Imagine.
Okay.
You've got a cheese knife at home somewhere that is nothing more than a U-shaped piece of wire with a handle on it, and there's a little thin piece of wire stretched across the gap, and you use that to cut the cheese.
Yeah,
okay.
Cut the cheese. Okay.
Okay.
Wait a minute. So Allan worked in a food reference and a double entendre all in one. Okay, very good, Allan.
I must be waking. The coffee's working.
Excellent.
So what Joe is actually holding in his hand is the industrial version of that.
Yeah.
And a variety of different types of blades can be put into the coping saw. And it is called a coping saw because you can now cope with those little tiny cuts.
Is that really why it's called that?
It's called a coping saw.
I thought it can cope. I thought it was more of a technical word.
No.
Okay, but basically, Allan, what's great about this? So yeah, it's sort of like a horseshoe shape with a handle springing off it. But the thing that's neat about a coping saw, people, is you pull the cut. The blade is very thin. It's like a quarter of an inch wide. It's got some pretty good teeth, and when you pick this up, you're going to go, this thing's going to snap the first time
Nope.
You could cut through a 2x4 with this thing. The tension is what creates the strength.
The movie Saw could be written around this tool. Yeah, it is, because now it depends on which blade you use.
Yeah.
Coping saws can be used on anything from tile to nails to wood, depending on what you put in it.
Yeah, no, they're great. And if the blade does snap, it doesn't matter. You get a pack of them. They're like $1 a piece.
They're not very big blades.
And in fact, they will break and they'll wear out. So just keep if you got your coping saw, keep a supply of blades with you. But this thing's great, Allan. It's bailed me out so many times. You can rotate the blade. You can cut through unique pieces of wood without damaging them too.
This is one of those tools that converts you from an amateur to a pro.
Yeah. No.
This is that corner that you could never fit that piece of wood into.
Right.
Now suddenly you draw a little line, follow your line, and you've got a great tiny little cut that makes that little piece fit right back in exactly where it should.
Absolutely. So hats off to the coping saw. You know who else I want to give a hat off to, Allan?
All right.
The good people at Brown Refrigeration. You know,
Okay.
for all of your HVAC needs, I got to imagine Larry is not sleeping much these days.
Not
it's
at
been pretty warm
101
out.
degrees temp. No.
Yeah. So, but if you're in a situation, either an emergency or if you just, it's time to think, to think about that replacement, or if you're concerned about the quality of your air, get in touch with the good people at Brown Refrigeration, and also don't forget to talk to them about their smart home systems. But they do it all. They're the best. We love these guys. And if you call in, ask for Mrs. Brown and ask her to tell you something funny. She's a pretty funny lady. Anyway, you can get in touch with them at 901-362-1881 or go to their website brownref.com. And Larry, we need to get you back on the show very soon. We have some things to discuss.
As soon as you get a break.
We're going to discuss more things here at Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to you about the industrial arts. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, please be sure to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, give us a like, check out what's going on over there, and send us pictures. We post things that we're up to, and but we want to find out what you're up to as well. So go over there and share join the Tool Talk Radio crew. So, Allan. So before the break, we were talking about the industrial arts.
Yeah.
Well, here's what it occurred to me, and you and I have talked about this many times. But okay, they are called, when I was in high school. Not so much these days. There's not as much of this anymore, but. You signed up for a class in the industrial arts. You might sign up for woodworking, metalworking, tool and die work, auto shop, or something. But there's a reason that it's called arts. There is creativity involved. I don't care if you're an electrician. I don't care if you're a plumber, if you're a carpenter. There is a lot of creativity involved. And it does, I think, accentuate your artistic side. What do you think, man?
I'm going to start with a macro example.
Okay.
Of if you are, they're just about to reopen the Interstate 40 bridge.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. So that's happening this weekend.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're driving into Memphis from the west, I'm going to give you a great example of the industrial arts. Memphis has an amazing skyline.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and
very
that
unique.
skyline is industrial.
Sure. Yeah.
It's the buildings.
Yeah. Somebody involved in the architecture, somebody involved in the way they finished it, the way they installed the windows, all of it. So it's like it does tap into your creative side. And I don't know, there's something, because you and I are big supporters of the arts, and but what I was thinking about, Allan, is the way it can translate into other things. And I'm going to just throw this at you and see what you think.
Okay.
So, and I'm thinking of Mike Rowe is a good example of this. He's that guy that does all those, what is it called? The dirty jobs that nobody wants.
Right.
If you ever want to hear an interesting podcast, go to his podcast. I think I listen on Spotify, but it's like, he could be the heir to Paul Harvey. He does these little 5-minute, stories about whatever. They always have an interesting twist. But what it got me thinking about, Allan, you're a writer. You write books. They may be disturbing, shocking, and horrifying, but you're still a writer.
To you. To you.
And I write some stuff. I'm a pretty decent writer. But I was thinking of how, like, for example, carpentry and storytelling.
Yes.
The skills, there's sort of an overlap. You have to plot things. There's pacing. There's timing. You have to think ahead, You
have to have a clear idea what your finished product is going to look like.
Good point. Yeah, you have a goal that you got to get to.
You and I have individually and together put in a number of floors. And if you want to see some artwork, walk into any old building.
Oh, yeah.
And look down. You will see artwork. You will see the result of somebody's sweat and brow on their hands and knees. And I pick on floors because floors are personal.
Yeah.
Of a floor is what's going to sell the room. Of whether you have chosen tile or you have chosen of a wood or however you're going to do however you're going to wrap this up, that floor is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you're in a way you could say you're telling a story, or it's visual storytelling in a way. I mean, I don't want to oversell this, but I do think I'm a big believer in our subconscious and how our subconscious operates. And I believe if you're somebody that works with your hands all day, and then you come home and you decide, hey, I want to write a letter, or I want to write a story, or I want to make a film, there's certain skills that are going to overlap. That's just my belief.
Well, I mean, nobody has ever walked into a building and gone, ooh, laminate.
Yeah.
No, that just doesn't happen. Now, you walk into an old building, and this happens a lot in a lot of the downtown areas of most major cities.
Yeah.
You walk up to an old building, and the show might start at the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Where they have gone in, and around 1900, it was kind of a big deal to put your name in the tile work on the front step.
Oh, I've seen that. In Chicago, I saw a lot of that.
You see quite a bit of that.
Yeah.
And you walk up, and, now it's 100 years later, or 120 years later, 140 years later, and it's still there.
Yeah.
And there is an awe moment, especially if they put the date on it.
Yeah.
You walk up and it's so-and-so's old pharmacy. Well, it's not a pharmacy anymore. It's a pet food company now.
Sure.
But you walk up and there's that front step emblazoned with something from 1905.
Yeah. And it holds up.
You will stop and you will look and you see people taking pictures. And that's because we just don't put that much time and effort into things these days.
Well, somebody laying bricks, or somebody, the architect, somebody came up with a creative decision, which is artistic, and decided to put that in. I was thinking of something else, Alan. What about painting? Painting, you're creating a mood through visual manipulation, you could say. Well, that may translate really well into filmmaking. You may want to be a YouTube, make your own YouTube films, or make your own films and videos. I could see where that skill set crosses over.
You and I have said this 1,000 times. Lighting is everything.
Funny, I was about to get to lighting. But
yeah, but I mean, really, well, honestly, the manipulation of lighting. You and I have totally changed rooms.
Mm-hmm.
People have taken, I have walked into some of the darkest, dankest caves ever. And by repositioning two lights, it goes from, do you have a bear in here? To, wow, I had no idea this room could look like this.
Yeah. So and that there's a lot of spill over that. You may be a lighting company, or you may be an electrician or something, and you're in lighting. Like you say, that's something we talk about all the time. I mean,
well,
it's a big deal.
With an electrician, you have also the hidden art, because it is not just the idea. And I run into this in a lot of World War II construction era buildings, where they didn't bother to take the time or effort to hide anything. And you walk in and it looks like a submarine. There's just pipes and there's just junk everywhere. One of the skills of an electrician is not only do they not burn your house down, not only do they provide us with all of our modern amenities, but a lot of times they do it secretly. It's hidden.
Right. It's and today they even do that a lot. They have if you have one of these big TVs on your wall.
Oh yeah.
And on all of your Roku and all the other or Fire Stick stuff is down below. Well, you don't want to look at those wires. They have to disguise that.
Right.
They have to, and even just the way we hang our electronics, there's style and art and creativity involved.
All right. I used to sell TVs back in the late 80s, and the word you just used was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Because when you just said the way we hang our electronics.
Oh, yeah. These are the way we set our 800-pound TVs on the floor. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, TVs, when I first started selling them, you didn't hang those bad boys. Right. Now I'm looking behind you right now, and there is a 40-inch television that weighs probably less than 10 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Hung easily on the wall.
Yeah. Adjustable, too.
Oh, yeah. Move it around. Got all kinds of mounts and stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot of art and artistry to blending all of what we do. Now, you want to talk about some true artistry?
Yeah.
Look at the backside, the ugly backside of any building in the world, and then you and I'm going to say the magic word to you to light you up.
Yeah.
Put in a good deck.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Absolutely. So, well, there's all sorts of there's all sorts of overlap. Definitely, and the industrial arts are art. We are firm believers. Auto mechanics, everybody. You know, my nephew, he's a big auto mechanic. The guy's very artistic. He's a great writer.
No, he is a car junkie.
He is.
But I've seen his work when he's done.
Yeah,
it's art.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, all of it, and of course, many vehicles are works of art. Not so much in the '80s. A lot of the cars got boxy. No offense.
Well,
but but then you look at some of from the 30s and the 60s. The 60s muscle cars are my thing. So.
Oh well, I had a '55 Dodge Royale for a while. Trust me, the chrome on that alone was worth the price of admission.
Yeah. Just watch Jay Leno's Garage, and you'll see you will see some art. So that's kind of That's something I really wanted to highlight, Alan, because I don't know that a lot of people look at it that way. And here at Tool Talk Radio, that's what we're all about, looking at things in a new way. So, and speaking of that, Alan, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we are going to talk about, there's a lot of other benefits that go along with the getting involved with the industrial arts, including mental health, physical well-being, and just satisfaction of creating something with your own hands. So. Well, we hope you're satisfied listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Give us a like. Check out what we're posting there. And feel free to post yourself. Give us a... Is that the correct term? Post yourself? That sounded kind of bad.
That
all
sounds
of a sudden.
good. That's close enough.
All right. Sounded a little painful. I don't know, man. But anyway, hey, if you're just tuning in, of course, if you are just tuning in and you missed part of the show, never fear, because Allan Gilbreth will be posting. He posts all of our shows at tooltalkradio.com, so you can you can check it out.
We're getting a little inventory built up finally.
Yeah, so, you can binge listen. I guess it qualifies as binge listening at this point. So
it's more than two. Yep. You can definitely binge listen. So.
Hey, Allan, before the break, we were talking about the industrial arts, the creative. It is art. There's creativity involved. It overlaps into other creative endeavors, but there's a lot of other benefits to it besides the fact that it pays really well.
Well,
working with your hands
true.
These days, especially, there's a shortage, and we're going to talk about that later with our guest Katie Clark when she drops in the next hour. But let me read something to you, Allan. My wife gave me this article from Psychology Today. Let me just read what they said. It said, let's see, there is something primal about working with our hands. We are made to be active and have actively used our hands as part of our daily survival for thousands of years. With the advent of so much technology, many of us move through our lives with minimal physical effort. We push a button instead of scrubbing dishes or laundry. Overall, we get far less physical activity than would be optimal for our bodies and minds. Using our hands may actually be key to maintaining a healthy mood, and a lack of this type of activity may contribute to feelings of irritability, apathy, and depression. So, it makes sense to me. What do you think? I mean, that all right. There's a lot of common sense there, actually.
Well, I have no point of reference other than working with my hands, because
it's kind of all you and I have ever done.
That is all we ever done. It's kind of like, all right, my point of reference, I guess, would be this of my garden. It's one of those things. It's not something I have to do.
Right.
It is something I am going to go do every single day.
Right.
I'm going to go out there. I'm going to rearrange, fidget, pick, clean, do. But when I say garden, I don't mean like a little weedy patch in the corner. as you have seen pictures of my yard, and I'll post a few up, I have a botanical garden.
Yeah.
I have a banana patch. I have blueberries and elderberries and raspberries and a big pond. And
yeah, we know. You don't have to brag. My
well,
yard's got weeds and crabgrass, but go ahead. Yeah.
but it didn't happen like that overnight. It was one small project after another.
Yeah.
And as each project finished, you just kept adding on to it. So I kept building something I wanted. All right, I happen to like blueberries. All right, well, I'm going to put in some blueberry bushes. Well, that means I'm going to line this little area out, and I'm going to make it aesthetically pleasing to me. Mm-hmm. So that, again, back to the English garden idea. It's very pleasant. You can walk through my backyard and have lunch.
Yeah.
You can graze through it. And a lot of that happens around the house. If you don't like the handles on those cabinets, get some handles you do like. Is one of these things I run into with business owners and homeowners all the time. It will often be an insignificant, to me, item that is making them absolutely crazy. One place was just where the Coke machine was.
Okay.
It was just, it was a previous person had put it there. The new team was in place, but the legacy was the Coke machine always went there. And then when I came in and I went, well, just move the thing. Let's go. Let's get let's get 4 or 5 people. Let's get my little rolly cart out of the truck. And where do you actually want it?
Okay, well, but I'm also talking about just the psychological benefits here, too. Well, not of just having the Coke machine in the wrong spot, but of the...
well, it's just a small example of, well, if you don't like it, let's come up with an alternative idea and let's make that happen. You don't like the backsplash behind the sink? Let's put a new one in. You don't like the mirror over your bathroom vanity? Well, let's go find a mirror that you do like. And it doesn't have to be a massive project. It can be just that one thing. How about light covers?
Okay, but Allan, you're getting in the weeds again. Once again, folks, there's gonna be a term for this. When I put a premise to Allan and he takes me off into the cow pasture, I was talking about psychological well-being and
yes.
For example, okay, here's something else, Allan. When you're working with your hands, I think you sleep better. I don't have trouble falling asleep at night when you're physically working. And also what's interesting, because we are trying to encourage people to get more involved with the industrial arts, especially we have a shortage of people that work with their hands. Well, the nature of the work, I can speak for myself, it frees me up. For one thing, I don't have to wear a suit to work. I'm not sitting still. I don't think I've had a cold in the last 3 years, Allan. I almost never get sick. I don't
think you want a pair of pants that covers your calves. So I'll be honest.
But also, one of the nice things about this type of work, people, is most of the time you can, like I listen to audiobooks all day, right, or I listen to podcasts, and basically that is an enriching experience. You could say it's good for my psyche. Mm-hmm. I'm not hearing horrible screams, or I'm not hearing or not. I shouldn't say screams, but I've worked in a few factories where
right,
it's like but I'm giving myself creative content to listen to and everything. My wife was telling me, given the nature, so I guess what I'm saying is the stimulation that I'm giving
right,
myself is positive. Well, my wife has sort of the opposite type of work. Her work is constantly having to help other people,
right,
which is a good thing to do, but that's sort of a draining type
It's stressful,
of thing.
Right.
So when you're draining your psyche versus feeding your psyche all day, like when at the end of the day, we both have different needs. She needs to just be quiet for a while. Right. I've been pretty much quiet all day, so I'm happy to talk, but it's just different. But I don't feel stressed at the end of the day.
Well, and I'm going to tie back to exactly where I was out in the weeds.
Yeah.
All right. For those of you who do have to work in the offices and that kind of thing, it's stressful to have. It's really weird, the things that stress people out.
Yeah.
And industrial arts is often a great way of relieving that stress, changing whatever it is in your world. And like I said, if it's something as dumb as a light cover, guys, don't be afraid to change them out. Put something on there you like. Now you've done now you've done something with your hands.
Okay.
You've changed your environment, and that's where you and I love to talk about the domino effect.
Okay.
Because if you've done one, now you kind of get emboldened to maybe I want to try the next little step.
Well, that is kind of true, Allan. When you work with your hands, there's usually observable results that
there's
trigger
a satisfaction
other things.
to that.
Yeah, sometimes we've got friends, they work on a computer all day.
Yeah.
You don't always get to see the fruits of what you do on a computer, and sometimes you may want to just throw the thing into the street and just, you know. So, but the funny thing is, Al, you and I have a balance. Like we both use computers too. Like we both have to write, we both have to do paperwork, and I've had a few occasions where, for whatever reason, I've had to spend like a full day doing that. And honestly, I am not wired for that. By the end of the day, if I haven't done something physical, and so in a way, it becomes sort of addictive, but in a good way. I think that's a good thing, to feel like you have to be mobile and moving, and not sedentary.
Well, everybody's different. Everybody has different needs. And the one thing I've discovered about the industrial arts is if you're not from them, and a lot of people, and it's shocking to me how many people whose parents, maybe they had a foot in that world, but immediately abandoned it as soon as they could.
Yeah.
And now we have an entire generation or two that is really terrified of picking up that hammer or getting that pinch bar or taking a look at that coping saw. And, guys, I got to tell you, there is some real satisfaction to, even if it's a tiny little job, it's that door that squeaks. It keeps squeaking and it keeps squeaking. Well, so tighten up the hinges, put a little WD-40 on it, and you get instant gratification because now the door doesn't squeak.
Yeah, if you've because Allan, I remember growing up in the 80s, it was drilled into us. You got to go to college. You got to be a business person. You got to, do all this. And
go. 80s was, junk bonds and MTV. Come on.
And the industrial arts were not highlighted as a respectable career, you could say. I hate to say it. It was all about.
I started out in computers.
The script is turning, though. Like, people are recognizing that, hey, wait a minute, you can be an electrician and make 6 figures a year.
Yes.
And have a pretty comfortable life and put your kids through college. And
well, let's face it. Right now, if you're an air conditioning technician, you are in very high demand. But think about the things that have frustrated you in your own life. Just looking, guys, everybody's sitting around listening to us, drinking their coffee, and look around the room and pick that one little project that is aggravating you. Something about it might be stressing out. The fact that the dog's bed fell apart years ago.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Alan's not going to let go.
I don't know. I don't care.
All right. Either way, though, we both agree the industrial arts rock.
Dive in.
You know who else rocks, Allan?
Who?
Whitekurt Realtors.
Yes, they do.
Quick, easy, and fun. Now, that's pretty much their selling point, and I can't disagree with that. That's the way they approach their business. And I've been a customer, and I've been a client. That's where I get my homes from.
Yep.
I've only bought 2 homes, but both of them were with, so. But quick, easy, and fun. You don't think of that. That they want this to be a pleasant experience.
Yes.
And everybody over at Whitekurt, Rick Bowman, their owner, he's been through it all. Kelly Cruz, who our spokesperson and the one who finds us these great commercials. She works over there. But they're really good, and they what's great about them, Allan, is it's sort of a one-stop shop. So you can get qualified, financed, and underwritten in the whole place. So you walk into Whitekurt Realtors, you don't have to go to a bank, you don't have to go anywhere else. They'll handle it all for you, and it's fun, and they have a foosball table.
That's true.
I mean, what more do you want? And a pool table.
Wow.
Actually, in a basketball hoop and a nice kitchen. So, but anyway, get in touch with them, and they have a really easy to remember phone number: 901-202-2000. Whitekurt Realtors Benchmark. They rock. Well, Allan, we're trying to rock. I hope we are.
I think we are.
We better rock, because we've got a great guest coming up in the next hour, and she's going to expect that we're on top of our game. We're going to talk to Kelly Clark from K. Clark Homes when we come in, and she's also the chairwoman of the Professional Women in Building. So this is going to be really interesting. Stay tuned. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome to Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV, and our special guest, who we'll introduce momentarily. You can reach us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, make sure you jump over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and give us a like and, tell us what you think of our must-have item of the week. Share your home improvement triumphs and tragedies. Let's face it, Allan, some of those are a lot funnier. I mean,
yeah. Well, you learn more from that mistake than you ever learned from the easy victory.
And it's therapeutic, people. Send, if you just own your mistakes and put them out on the internet, well, they'll be there forever. There's something, healing about that, I think. I don't know. Anyway, let's move it along, Allan. Hey, we've got a special guest to introduce, Katie Clark from K. Clark Homes. Well, one thing about that I like, it's easy to remember and easy to spell.
Like short and sweet. That's true.
Katie, welcome to Tool Talk. Good to have you on.
Yes, I'm excited.
You don't sound excited.
I'm thrilled.
Okay, that's better.
Idea.
Yeah. Katie, we've had some interesting conversations. We've been talking for the last couple weeks, and Allan, I said we got to get her on the show. For one thing, okay, Katie, you're a home builder.
Yes.
Which is sort of, there's not a lot of women that build homes, right? And
there aren't. There are not a lot. Not in this area, anyways.
Okay, and we're trying to change that.
Yes. Any female that wants to get involved in home building or any side of construction, it's an opportunity.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that because in addition to owning K. Clark Homes, you're the chairwoman of the Professional Women in Building chapter here in Memphis, which is a nationwide organization, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, and also, Allan, this is going to be kind of good. We're introducing some of our older listeners that have been around with us for the last few years know about our home improvement marriage advice segments, but we haven't launched it yet here on News Talk 98.9. Yeah.
Basically, how Joe stays in the doghouse is basically how that segment works.
Yeah, so we're gonna tap into Katie's vast wisdom as a home builder.
Just wait.
And as a female, we want the female voice on this. And I'm bound to get in hot water. Although, I don't know, on this one, Allan, I think I'm going to get Katie in hot water. So this is going to be more fun.
It wouldn't be the first time.
So later, we're going to get to home improvement marriage advice. You people aren't going to want to mix that. But to kind of build up her credibility, let's introduce what she actually does for a living. So, Katie, tell us what you do.
I am a just residential home builder. I work with a lot of custom clients and do spec building as well. So just finding a house for you or building your own and just, doing everything that you want in a house.
Well, I mean, that sounds like kind of a lot of work, and so
it is.
And it sounds like there's a lot of moving parts there. So what made you get into this? This is interesting.
So my family's been in land development, and I have always loved the home side of things.
Right.
So, just taking something that, a raw piece of land and putting a house there that, someone's going to create memories in, have a family. Something that's going to be interwoven into the fabric of their life.
So it's the experience. It's. I mean, let's face it. That is a pretty satisfying prospect. It's a lot of work, but at the end of the day, when you see everybody moving in, it's got to feel pretty good.
It does. I mean, you get to see the results of all of your hard work.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, but it's not just a matter of saying, okay, well, here's the plot of land, and we're going to get things building. You're pretty much involved in every aspect of this, right?
Yes, I wish it was that easy, but it is far from that.
Yeah. So what's that like? What's your day-to-day life like in that?
It changes every day.
Okay.
I can be doing, accounting work, one day or out in the field the next. So I'm pretty much, I work from my car a lot of the times.
Oh, yeah.
I'm constantly driving, constantly, listening to podcasts and radio shows and all that fun stuff. But dealing a lot with subcontractors, clients, making sure that all of the components that they want in their house are incorporated.
Okay, awesome. Well, and I do want to back up a little though, because you said your family has been in building and development and everything. So at what point did you kind of say, I think I'd like to do this. Like, has this always been a plan for you, or?
No, I wouldn't say it's always been a plan. I mean, as you mentioned earlier on in the show, I mean, I went the, college route, was an economics major. So I probably thought that I was going to be looking at spreadsheets all day or something so exciting like that. But
oh yeah, love a good spreadsheet, Alan.
But I chose a completely different path where I'm working with my hands. I'm out in the sun, and I'm not in a cave-like office.
Yeah,
I'm okay
I can relate to that. Yeah, and I see you showed up here dressed for success. You're wearing a Red Hot Chili Peppers T-shirt.
I'm always dressed for success.
Okay, so there you go. Well, it is nice though. We talked about that. You're getting fresh air. You're moving around. I'm not equipped at all to be in an office all day. I would go nuts, Alan. I couldn't do that. So it sounds like you're kind of cut from the same mold.
I completely agree.
Okay. But there's just a lot of dynamics that go into building homes, obviously. So we're gonna unpack that as we continue to visit with Katie. So this is gonna be interesting, and I really can't wait to get to our marriage advice either, Alan. But and we're also gonna talk about what it's like to be a woman in a mainly male dominated field. So, but hey, before we do that, Alan, I want to remind people. Let me shift gears, Katie. If you have any roofing or remodeling needs, get in touch with the good people at Big M Roofing. Big M Roofing and Remodeling Company. Talk to Jay Hill, their owner. He's hilarious. He'll take care of you. And really, they're accredited by the Better Business Bureau. They're master elite roofing installers. So get in touch with them at 901-379-8184 or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV, and our special guest, Katie Clark from K. Clark Homes, and the chairwoman of the Professional Women in Building. You can reach us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we would love for you to go over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, give us a like, and send us messages that way. I don't know if we'll answer in real time, Alan. Do you got the screen pulled up?
No.
Better to send us messages, text us.
Text us right now. So
Katie, it's interesting talking to you, and let's just be honest, there's not a lot of women that build homes, right? Which we want to change. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about that earlier in the show. In fact, we're going to talk about that soon. But it's funny, off the air, we've been talking about sort of the emotions involved with building homes, and you've seen it all, right?
So many emotions.
Okay.
Yeah, just too many sometimes.
Okay. All right. But you said, I guess what I'm wondering is who is your clientele? Like, what is there a type of person that comes to you, or is it wide ranging?
It's like someone Googles which home builder is the most equipped to handle the emotionally unstable. I get those people somehow, but they're always a lot of fun.
And we hope all of you are tuning in right now. And
yeah.
What do you mean by that? That's funny.
Okay. Oh, well, building is a very emotional process. You have the extreme highs, the extreme lows. It's a very almost like bipolar process for 8 months. So it is just a wild time. But yeah, I really try and just shuffle, my clients through that process, take on as much stress as I possibly can, and not let them deal with it.
Okay. Do you feel that okay, I got to be honest, and Alan, I'm looking at you. Maybe you've seen this. My typical experience, and I've had projects that I might even be at somebody's home for like 3 months. Like it could be an extended project. Mostly what I get is, okay, maybe there's a few decisions they agonize over, or maybe they say, hey, you're a nice guy and I like you and all this other, but I don't necessarily form, like, it's not like maybe necessarily the beginning of a lifelong friendship, and there's certainly not tears and tantrums and stuff like that, but it sounds like it's kind of different for you.
It is so different for me. I can fill a pool with all of the tears that have been shed in front of me, which I don't know if that says something more about me or the process.
Maybe you're a good listener. I don't know.
Well, now see, I get called in way past your point.
Okay.
All right, I get called in with the client crying on the phone.
Yeah.
That I can't this, I can't that. Oh my gosh. And so I'm sliding over here towards Katie's side of this camp because there's just so many things. And all right, I'm looking at Katie. I'm gonna say things like trigger words like, oh, I don't know, kitchen, bathroom, of the craziest things that people will utterly fixate on. And it's non-negotiable. It has to be this way, or it has to be, and it's just, oh my gosh. Well, I mean, but you have to think about it. A lot of these people are buying their home for the first time, or heaven helps, they're building right out of the gate, and they just don't understand the process sometimes. So I'm gonna look at Katie. I'm gonna say, all right. So what is the one thing you most wish a client knew when they called you?
HGTV is fake. I mean, not fake, but that is not what you should
I'm putting
base
that on a T-shirt. So yeah, that's good.
your
So-
realizations on.
Oh, that is
All right.
so classic.
As far as budget and time frame, you gotta rein people in.
So extreme home makeover, yeah, that ain't happening in your town. Katie, we're trying to actually sell people on the idea of calling K. Clark Homes, but honestly,
I think she just did it right there.
Realistic expectations.
Well, you watch TV and it's kind of like, we have a budget of $800,000 and I raise crickets.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, no, this is not even close to reality
Yeah.
of, most, oh my gosh, you're building a home. There's got to be 10,000 decisions.
Easy.
Yeah, kind of talk us through the basics. Like people obviously first have to get their financing set up. So, but what's it kind of look like when they show up at your doorstep and through the process?
Yeah, so, financing is obviously a really big thing. We all like money.
Yeah.
And then, finding a plan is always a really hard part of the process as well, because everyone wants a super custom experience. Maybe they can't pay for a 100% custom home, but having something that they can tailor to, fit their lives is always important. And then going through the selection process is always fun, but also really hard as well for people. Some people just can't handle a lot of choices.
The fewer choices, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, a lot of the times, yeah.
Yeah, when you have 10,000 paint colors and
20,000
20,000 tiles, it is. But now that I'm talking to you, it sounds like you almost have an advantage because, okay, you're talking about people shedding tears and all this other. Well, people are also opening up to you a lot more maybe than they would. They're definitely doing it more than they do with me. So
Yeah,
I think that's an advantage. You can find what their motivation is.
Yeah, there's a therapist fee in my contracts.
Yeah, we're getting to that too for our marriage advice. That's kind of what we're doing here. We're building her.
Oh, I'm
strength,
so
right?
qualified.
Easing up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's got to be kind of exciting too. I mean, I would think people coming in, there's got to be an excitement level. We're gonna get a custom home.
Yes,
This is
exactly.
cool.
Yeah, at the beginning of the process, everyone's super excited, and then they're framing, you're still excited, and then things start to slow down because you're getting all like the mechanics into the house, and that's when it's like they get frustrated and like things aren't moving as quickly, and it's like you don't see all the parts that are going in.
But that's that's sort of that's
we
that's what
mentioned
it's
that
going to be,
earlier,
realistic
right.
expectations.
Well,
so.
there's a lot of things that happen that I always say aren't sexy. Because, watching the walls go up, that's fast.
Yeah.
Boom, and you walk in and there's 2x4s and there's action and then what you didn't notice was the poor plumber or the poor electrician in the corner.
Yeah.
And that process is so much more important that it get done properly, correctly, and timely. And then the other part that makes people crazy, and this is where Joe and I usually have to be cheerleaders, inspections.
Oh yeah.
Do
you like those?
Oh, they're my favorite part of the job. I mean,
but they have to be done.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just part of the. But when you have somebody that's so used to seeing all the wires and the 2x4s and everything's happening, and then they show up and like crickets, and you go, oh no, today's inspection day. But they're going, but I wanted to see all that stuff going on, not some poor soul with a clipboard going, No, it's just such a difference in the pace.
Well, but it's all on your shoulders, Katie. Do you enjoy that? I mean, to some level, you got to have a certain natural leadership to do this, obviously. And some people are cut out for that. Do you enjoy that deep down?
Yeah, I would say I enjoy that. I'm built for handling pressure. I would say so. I mean, you develop a thick skin, and I mean, it's definitely been like a learning experience in a lot of different ways.
Well, because you also manage the contractors, and I'm wondering how that plays out. Because obviously the homeowners, honestly, I'm thinking, Allan, I feel like she does have an advantage over me when it comes to dealing with the clients, because they're not as emotionally vulnerable with me. I get their there's a mask that they wear maybe with me, but Katie,
well, you get
you're
them after the decision. They went, okay, we want the pergola here.
Yeah.
What you didn't get was these 6 weeks of, no, but I want the pergola over there.
Yeah.
And finally somebody won the argument, and then they call you.
Okay.
Now,
but
Katie, they're trying to figure out where to put the foundation.
Well, but
they're right there at the beginning.
Yeah, what I'm wondering is how that plays out with your contractors, who I would have to guess a lot of them are males, right?
100%. All of them are males.
Okay.
I deal with guys all day, every day. That's what I deal with.
Well, how do you like that? What's that like?
I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy it. Like, I think more probably like a man than a female anyways.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'd like to get to a point where it's kind of nobody's really thinking about that, but let's be honest, it's sort of a reality right now.
It's a reality. But...
Well, Katie, with that, and by the way, we haven't even told one person how to get in touch with you yet. So if they want to learn more, or if they want to just call you and cry and share their emotions, but either way, no, honestly, talk to Katie. She's great and highly qualified, and we haven't even really talked about your credentials, but how do they get in touch with you at K. Clark Homes?
You can find me on Facebook, K. Clark Homes, or just online, kclarkhomes.com, and it's got all of my contact information there, and you can call me and cry.
Okay. Is it K. Clark, or is it just K. Clark?
Just K. Clark.
Okay, that's what
Katie, Catherine, Kate, whatever you want.
Okay, K. Clark, not Homes, just kclark.com.
K. Clark Homes.
Oh, K. Clark Homes. All right, Allan. I knew I'd get it eventually. So, all right. Well, with all that in mind, you like we said, you're kind of outnumbered out on your job site, and there aren't a whole lot of women in building and in the trades. But there's an effort to change that, because there are a lot of benefits. There's a great need we need everybody to get in this fight. America and really around the world, there's a shortage of people working with their hands, working in the trades, and especially women. And so you're a part of that effort. So tell us about the Professional Women in Building.
It is an organization underneath the National Association of Home Builders, and it's really just a group where women that are in the construction industry in any field, I mean, you could be selling tile, you could be a designer, it doesn't have to be a builder. We get together. It's a great networking event. I send business their way, and just a way to get together. I mean, as we mentioned, like, I'm around men all the time. Sometimes, like, y'all drive me crazy, and I just need a break.
I can understand that.
So having a group like that is awesome for me in particular.
Yeah, no, it's great, and also I would hope it also is an encouragement to young ladies who are thinking, well, let's see what this is all about. Can they get in touch with you?
Yes, they can definitely get in touch with me. The more women get involved, I mean, the better. I mean, it's an opportunity, and you don't have to go a certain path. This is an option, and it's a great career path. It's
a very good career path. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits out there, ladies. So we're gonna unpack that when we come back. We're gonna talk about the Professional Women in Building and Katie's efforts to get more females out on the job site. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV, and our special guest Katie Clark from K. Clark Homes. She's the chairwoman of the Professional Women in Building, and soon we're going to also learn qualified marriage counselor, certified. Really, she should get certification. That should have been part of the degree, I think. But emotional crutch for people? I don't know. Katie, you wear a lot of hats.
Yes,
building
so many
homes
hats.
for people. So, but
It's a good thing I have a large closet.
yeah. Well, we've been talking to Katie. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, if you're just waking up, never fear. You can always check out any of our past shows at tooltalkradio.com. So if you missed any of our discussion today, just wait till Allan posts the show, and then you can check it out and binge listen to all of our episodes at tooltalkradio.com. But so Katie, we were talking we were talking about sort of the dynamics of being a female in a mostly male dominated field, which honestly, Allan, I am seeing a change though. I see more women working in the trades, which we're all for. And so you founded a chapter out here, right? Because this is a national organization.
Yes. So the West Tennessee Home Builders Association, which I'm a part of, that just handles like our region here.
We love those guys, by the way.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Shout out to Canette Keogh.
She's great.
Yeah.
So we knew that there was a need, and that there are women here that are in construction, and this was just what we thought would be a great way to bring everybody together, help the association, and just create this chapter here.
Okay, so what are you finding with that? Because so you're meeting these women. How long have you been doing this, by the way?
Our chapter, I think, was finalized back in the fall.
Oh, this is brand new.
So yeah, it's brand new. We had it here a couple of years ago, and it kind of like fizzled. But then we're bringing it back. We're breathing new life into it. And every meeting that we've had more women show up. It's just been growing every single time. It has been awesome to see.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what are these meetings like? I guess I'm trying to envision this, because I would think there's probably a different push every meeting, right? So.
Yeah, so we have different objectives. Sometimes we have more of like an educational focus where we might, bring somebody in who's like a professional in a particular area.
Awesome.
Or, it could just be like a fun, mixer type meeting where, you just drink and, complain about people.
That's where actually the real business gets done.
That is.
Right, Allan?
Yes.
I mean,
those are the best meetings.
Yeah.
But they're always a lot of fun.
I think that's important too. So is that that's a important decision to make them fun, right? Because who's going to go otherwise?
Yeah. Nobody wants to go to a stuffy luncheon.
Right.
So you want to make sure that, you're trying to, people want to get something out of whatever they're spending their time doing.
So what are you hearing from these ladies in these groups? Are they experiencing similar things to you? Because I guess it's just got to be a different dynamic.
Yeah, well, it's a slightly different dynamic for me as a builder. A lot of our members are more of the associate members of the association. So they're the salespeople, the people that I deal with or bring my customers to. So not necessarily the builder, but the different, side of the market, the industry.
I would think they're still feeling the same,
Yeah,
they're experiencing similar.
Yes, exactly. I mean, they're still working like with a bunch of men.
Don't look at me that way, Katie. All right. I can't help it.
So, we all have, the different hurdles that we've got to jump through.
Yeah, but see, here's my thing. And here's where, Allan, get ready. It wouldn't be right if I didn't put my foot in my mouth at some point. I always try to look at my place in the universe and my resources that I have, and use whatever I have to my advantage, in terms of business. Well, I think you could do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a certain advantage, right?
No, I definitely think that there is.
So is that what you guys do? You scheme about how women can take over things and,
Well, I can't tell you. That would ruin it.
No, but I mean, honestly, is there some of that in the conversation? There are realities, right? I mean. So.
Well, I think it's more along the lines of the conversation of how to get more women involved in the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
Just showing, girls like in high school that this is an option, you don't, I mean, just that, this is an available, path.
Well, that if I could suggest, or maybe you already got plans for this. So you said you started in the fall. I think it'd be great to have some sort of meetings, basically inviting young ladies to come and just learn more about it. And we'd even be happy to help promote that, right, Allan?
Yeah.
We'll help you get that together. But what do you think of that?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay. Where would you meet? That's the critical part.
Well, I mean, there's lots of different places. Most of our meetings take place out in Collierville. There's a cool place, Simply Done, where we do a bunch of our luncheons out by the square.
So there's food
nice
involved.
place.
Oh, we always involve food.
Oh, nice place.
That's how you wrap people in.
So there's bribery, salesmanship. Okay, excellent.
Scheming.
And she said food, so I perked right up. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, what?
All right.
great
Well,
food.
so the basic our push here is we want this chapter to grow. We want next time Katie comes in to say, well, now we've doubled our membership, right? So
That'd be great.
So what do we do? How do ladies get involved? How do young ladies get in touch with you to find out more about this?
They can get in touch with me personally through any of my contact information online or on Facebook, or you can call the West Tennessee Home Builders Association, and they would be happy to walk you through the joining process as well.
All right. Well, give us some of that contact information, Katie. Where do you want people to go? Give us the
For the professional women in building, the West Tennessee Home Builders Association. So
Okay, you don't want them going to your Facebook? She's
mean,
diverting,
you can.
Alan. I've noticed she's
It's
steering
okay.
clear.
And
yeah,
just,
I mean,
you
I don't
just
need
keep
more
writing.
responsibility.
Okay. All right, so get in touch with the West Tennessee Home Builders Association.
Yes.
That's easy.
Yeah, that's super easy.
You can find them. Who do they ask for?
Really anybody there would be able to help you.
Okay.
So-
All right. And you want to, so they call and they want to get involved with the professional women in building. And Katie, I hope you'll also keep us posted on upcoming activities. And you said it's a monthly
Yeah,
deal?
yeah, we meet monthly. Always doing fun stuff. So.
Who's planning it? Is it your job to plan everything?
I mean, I plan a lot, but it's a collaborative effort.
Okay.
So
You need to meet, you know where they need to go, Alan. You need to have your November meeting at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. That would be fun. You want to expose, yeah. See, I can work in shameless plugs too,
There
Alan.
you
We
go.
can,
That's
no,
not
but
bad. That's not bad.
I think you'd find it a very interesting meeting place. It would not be boring either. So.
well, we love non-boring.
Okay. Well, Katie, this is great. Speaking of non-boring, I feel like we need to steer into our marriage advice.
Well, you just can't wait. You just can't wait.
Well, Katie, I mean, honestly, when you and I started talking a couple weeks ago, I was like, okay, I was already making a mental checklist of what I really wanted to rope her in for, But so this is a segment that we do, and I feel like this is going to spill over into the next segment too, Alan. Okay, so Katie, I think you will agree with this premise. The premise of home improvement marriage advice here on Tool Talk Radio is that being in the industrial arts, working as a carpenter for 20 some odd years, Alan working as everything he's worked at, which is too long of a list to you. I believe it qualifies you to be a counselor, not only in human psychology, but definitely in marriage, right? We are experts in marriage counseling.
Yes, I would say so. You probably need to print me out a certificate so I can hang it on my wall at home.
Right, which qualifies us to give marriage advice and to really just tell you how to live your lives. And, I think that's our role here, Alan. We have to serve, we have to wear many hats.
Yes. In Joe's case, is learning the words "yes, ma'am."
Yeah. So with that in mind, that's
Good
what we're
call.
gonna. Yeah. So we're gonna tap into Katie's. I've got a few basic. We're gonna call these home improvement conundrums. Actually, these are probably gonna be more in your field. I thought people are gonna build houses. There's going to be emotions involved. There's going to be possibly some screaming. There's going to be tears. There's going to be hopefully not blood. I don't know, a lot of sweat. But so Katie, we're gonna pose a few scenarios to you.
Okay.
And see how you would react. And Alan and I will judge. Well, actually, I'll weigh in too, because it wouldn't be right if I didn't, put my foot in my mouth with this. So that's what we're going to do when we come back from the break. But before we go to break, Alan, I want to remind people, if you need you like the segue there?
Yeah. I love how you shove that water buffalo through the dog door.
If you If you need a deck or a pergola or a patio cover or really anything made out of wood for the outside of your home, give me a call at 901-921-7105 or visit my website, thorshomes.com. And just a reminder, if you are a contractor, if you're a business person involved in in home improvement. We're building the team here, Allan. We want a few more associates. We're forming what we like to think of as the Justice League of home improvement. Allan's Cyborg. I call Batman. I don't know. Maybe you could be Wonder Woman.
I'm down
Katie?
for it.
Okay, cool. So get in touch with me directly at 901-921-7105, and we'll see what we can do to bring you aboard. We're not having the you don't want Lex Luthor. We don't want any of those guys involved. So we already got Allan. Anyway, you're listening to a Tool Talk Radio coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to dive deep into our home improvement marriage advice. Welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy who we've never been misidentified as identical, Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV, and our pal Katie Clark from K. Clark Homes and the chairwoman of the Professional Women in Building.
Yes. Okay, so before we get started on this next segment, I have to ask, where do I get that powdered meat from?
Mr. Beef's powdered steak batter.
Yes, that one.
Call Kelly Cruz. She'll hook you up. But yeah.
I've got some in the truck. I'll take care of you right after we get off the air.
It's been growing in the
you got to keep it warm.
Gotta love a good meat alternative.
We get the best sponsors here, Katie. So yeah, stay tuned every week. You never know who might be bringing you the show. So yeah, Kelly Cruz though, she's got a she's got a 5-gallon bucket in her.
No, kind of scary right now.
Anyway, okay, so here we go. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking to our buddy, Katie Clark, who is involved. She's a professional home builder, female. We've already established that. I don't think we established it as well as we can, Katie. You are highly qualified. You do beautiful work.
Yes.
You've got a great team of contractors. If you need a custom home, really, it's going to be a great experience. Make sure you get in touch with Katie. I think it needs to be said, Allan. We've been goofing around all day. You've been teasing Katie. She's our guest. You should stop doing that. But, Katie, before we dive into our marriage advice, how do people get in touch with K. Clark Homes?
Online, or y'all can call me, text me, whatever, at 901-359-1344.
Text Katie. Tell her how she's doing on the show. Tell her you can cry.
Yeah.
You're used to that.
I'm used to it. Just send like a bunch of crying emojis. I'll know where you heard me from.
Absolutely. So so here for our marriage advice, home improvement marriage advice here on Tool Talk Radio. We, as people that basically work in the trades, and Katie, you cover all the fields. We deal with human emotion, we deal with human psychology, and we deal with marital dynamics. So I'm going to throw a couple of scenarios at you, and we want your expert judgment on how best to handle this situation. And Allan and I are going to rate you. We'll hold up. We don't want to hold up like cards like they do in the Olympics, Allan, and see.
I've got my little paddle right here with my.
Okay.
I love being graded.
All right. So Katie, let me ask you this. Okay. Let's start in the kitchen. You're building the home. It's going great, and now it comes time to install the kitchen. Mm-hmm. What if a couple does not agree on the flooring? Talk about flooring.
Oh my gosh, flooring is probably, for whatever reason, one of the hardest selections that people make. I guess because it feels so permanent, even though it isn't. And there's so many different types of flooring and so many selections within each different type. So I have had to apologize to my flooring saleswoman numerous times for bringing her criers in. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure I've ever brought someone in that doesn't cry. And I'm actually not joking.
Yeah.
I've been told there was this one client that came in and she got so overwhelmed that she's like, you know what I'm doing, you know what style I like. Do not bring me back here. You're picking it out.
Okay, well, because I was about to ask. So, Katie, the goal here is you have to come up with a good flooring option, but you also have to keep the marriage together. That's our focus here. Yeah. So how do you achieve that?
Well, it's always the woman's decision at the end, usually.
I hate to say
the truth is the truth.
Yeah, the husband can put up a bit of a fight sometimes, but it's usually she's the one ending up with the decision. But
does that lead to marital bliss?
Well, I think for him.
Okay, so the lack of screaming and whatever. But I don't know, Alan. I feel like you got to use a little more finesse than that.
Oh,
So, yeah.
you 100% do, and it really just depends on the different personalities that you're dealing with. But when you're going through remodeling, building, whatever it is, you got to be able to compromise with your partner. Not everything you like, they're going to like, and vice versa. So you've got to think about the different things that are negotiables for you, non-negotiables, and, how do you get past the different, hurdles, with different selections.
So is that something you lay out in the first meeting? Like, okay, this is not going to be a...
Yes. I mean, it seems like a fun process in the very beginning, and it is, but I try and, in the very beginning, like, hey, this is a relationship between you and me. So I weed people out all the time that I'm not going to be able to work with, or I see that there's tension between them and they're clearly not on the same page.
Interesting. So I've gotten that too. Like in Allan, in poker, they say a person has a tell. Mm-hmm. I've experienced that. So you might just look at the raise of an eyebrow or the way they look down at their watch or something, and that tells you this person may be high maintenance.
Oh, I can tell without anything, I feel.
All right, let me throw another scenario at you. So let's suppose, okay, I've seen this. You've seen this too, Alan. I'm sure you've seen this, Katie. There's a point in the project where they are just dug in. Both of them think they're right. However, okay, let me rephrase that. One of the spouses is stubbornly sticking to an idea that is clearly the right decision. The other is sticking to an idea that is clearly the wrong decision. But they are both convinced they're right. So how do you navigate that situation?
Well, I mean, if it's a decision that is holding up other things in the process, so thus it's costing them time and then money. You can always throw that out to them and be like, hey, we gotta make a decision. Someone's got to give somewhere along the way.
Really? So it's all about compromise. But how do you do that? That's what I guess I'm wondering. Is this through trickery? Is this through, scare tactics, intimidation?
Well, when she brings up that checkbook and goes, all right, every day we're not picking this floor is costing you this much money. That's when a decision gets picked real fast.
Yes, that really does expedite a decision completely.
So,
and I mean, that happens where you have to really throw out a number. I mean, it could be a fake number for all they know, but I mean, just in order to pick something so you're able to move on.
Okay, so you can go, actually that is a workable idea. It's going to cost you $150,000 more to do that, and let's proceed. And then that probably puts a kibosh on that, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, I mean, hey, it happens.
Okay, here's a tricky one. And this is the season of love. People are getting married. We've got newlyweds out there. What would you say to a newlywed couple? Like, I guess I'm wondering how many miles do they need under their marriage before they are ready to attempt a custom home? Like, you don't just do this out of the gate, right?
I would highly suggest that you do not.
Okay.
I mean, it is one of the most stressful processes that you can go through.
Okay.
Just building from the ground up. So, if you're newly married and you're still getting to know your partner, this is not for you. So you may, just get a divorce real quickly. Who knows?
And how do you tell them that? Because they're all in the
honeymoon. And then they're going to fight
stage.
over who gets the house because,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how do you coach them? Because obviously you want them to maybe think about it down the road, but how do you say basically they're too immature to handle this right now? But
well, with what I'm doing, I really don't deal with many first-time home buyers, so I don't deal with that a whole lot. But I have dealt with younger couples, and I just really try and show that this is not always going to be a fun ride.
Okay.
So you might hate me, you might hate him, you'll hate your mailman. Like, it's some days are not great.
Hey, Katie, this is not to change the subject. I'm not changing the subject, believe me. But are you a fan of The Office? Do you ever watch The Office?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember that episode when Michael was going over these business tactics? Because Daryl wanted a raise, this is a little in the weeds, people, but Daryl wanted to raise, and Michael had all of these psychology tips that he was reading about how to make sure he got what he wanted and beat Daryl. So, like, I'm just thinking about some of these things. Like, if you're gonna where do these discussions take place? Are they taking place at your office? Are they taking place there on the foundation of the home as you guys are, do you strategize about where you should meet to discuss these things?
It depends. I mean, if we're in the very beginning of the process and they need to be more educated on what exactly that process is, then those are usually taking place in my office. But, I mean, that's usually the first meeting and that's it. So I like to meet on job sites mostly, so everybody feels involved.
Okay, yeah. Well, and they see progress.
Yeah, they see movement.
Okay, what about if it's a flooring decision? Are you better off to give them bring samples or bring them to the actual flooring store? Because that sounds like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
shock
Well,
and awe.
normally for selections, I'm going directly to the store or supplier with them, because I'm not really like a cookie cutter type. Here, pick these three, of each different selection. I mean, I like to give them, as many selections as they can handle, because they could do whatever they want. If you want like a, $2 a square foot tile, that's fine. If you want a $40 one, that's fine too. Whatever you can pay for.
How much follow-up have you done? How many marriages have broken up, and how many have thrived after building a home with K. Clark Homes? Have you kept score?
Yeah, I got a running tally going. I am not aware of anyone divorcing immediately after me. So
That's your sales pitch right there.
There you go.
We'll give you a beautiful home, and you will not get divorced. So.
Yeah.
well, that seems
This week.
tough.
For the house. Yeah.
Okay. But honestly, I mean, it's got to be exciting. I would like to build my own home one day, maybe. I don't know. I could see how exciting
Well,
that
you
would
already
be
live on a different planet.
Yeah,
So,
good
you know,
point.
it's,
But Katie, I don't know. What do we give her for a score here, Allan? I'll give her a 9.
I'm going to say she's doing very, very well because obviously you've got a lot of experience and you're demonstrating a side of the business a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah.
And it is emotional. And Joe likes to pick on me because I like to get down into the minutia of like cabinet hardware and light covers. Those are big things when you're trying to get this overall project wrapped and packed.
Oh yeah, it's amazing how big, a light switch can be to you. You've never thought about it your entire life, but then you're building a house, and this is the most important thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just who knows. You'll see people's true colors when they build a home.
If she can get down to those details, I trust her. I trust her with the rest of the house.
Well, Katie, real quick before we scoot out of here, tell us once again, how do we get in touch with you at
Call or
K Home?
text 901-359-1344 or on Facebook, K. Clark Homes, or my email address.
And go to the West Tennessee Home Builders Association and talk to them. They'll hook you up. And like we said, and we'll be seeing each other when we get closer to the Vesta Home Show as well.
Yes.
That's down the road. But Katie, it's been a lot of fun having you on here, and we hope to see you again. And definitely, if you're a young a lady or a woman interested in the trades, or if you're in the trades, get in touch for the professional women in building. Join the group. But Allan, time waits for no one. It's time to get out of here. You've been listening to another action-packed episode of Tool Talk Radio. So on behalf of my friend Allan Gilbreth and our guest Katie Clark, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.